Welcome back to our final video on the Queens Gambit series. We're going to be talking about the Catalan in this video. And the Catalan has surged in popularity over the past 2 decades due to the efforts with white of Vladimir Kramnik and Boris Gelfand. And both of these guys just really show how to use the Catalan with white. And we're going to look at not only a specific sideline that I've prepared in the Catalan, but also some typical ideas of how white tries to manage to get into a Catalan to limit your move orders. So first we'll say after d4 we know d5, and then this is the typical Catalan structure. The move that I recommend is bishop b4 check, and we will discuss these lines in detail in a moment. So let's return to the initial position, and we have the English. Well, how do you get to a Queen's Gambit from an English? We play e6, and then you could play d5 here. But what I'm going to suggest to you is play c5, and in the Con Sicilian series I discussed the hedgehog structure, which I would strongly suggest going into from this position with an early knight f3. So after g3, b6, and we're going to get to the skeleton of our hedgehog. We quickly see d4, and then d6, I'll say a6, knight bd7, and we have our hedgehog structure. If you really don't like these lines, but first let me say, the reason that I'm suggesting playing this is after knight f3, d5, we will not be able to get to our main game because white will play g3, and we'll get this type of position to where only now he plays d4. We've already committed our bishop here, and we will not be able to get to the line that I recommend in the main game. So keep this in mind. And the other main variation that I would like to talk about is if knight f3 immediately, playing knight f6. And now he's about to play bishop g2, so that's when we play b6. And we're in a Queen's Indian structure, and after d5 we play the typical Queen's Gambit maneuver with the early c5 from this structure. So as long as you're playing in these ideas, you'll be fine. I'm just showing you multiple ways to handle these positions just to make sure that you're not surprised over the board that you can't get your preparation and that you're going to get a playable position no matter what. The Queen's Gambit's notoriously solid. As long as you're playing natural moves, you should be in alignment. Okay, on to the main analysis. So this is the only variation where we're going to play this early bishop b4 move. And first we'll look at the sideline with knight bd2. After castles and b6, we're not going to trade off our good bishop. We're in fact going to bring him back and then play for c5. And black just gradually improves his pieces here and gets solid counterplay. And I really liked this game because it was like out of nowhere the bishop comes pretty strong, we secure pawns, and this game was agreed drawn in this position for obvious reasons. But you can tell by looking at that game that white has some issues with that early knight bd2 move. So let's say bishop d2 is the main line. But first, let me go back and explain why playing bishop b4 check and then coming back with the bishop to d6 is so strong. Because some of you would probably ask the question, well, why not in this position here just play bishop d6 immediately? And it seems like in all the variation we put the bishop on e7. Well, bishop d6 after bishop b4 check is a new and innovative move by Ding Liren. So let me go along and show you why this move, bishop d6, isn't that strong here. Because in this position, white can play the move knight f to d2, and he's going to play e4 on the next move. So say if black plays a move like h6, I get in e4. Now e5 is threatened, so I must take. And black is going to lose a tempo, and with it, white has a sizable advantage in my opinion. So the point of this early move, bishop b4 check, is to secure the bishop on the d2 square so there will not be a knight f d2 maneuver preventing this entire advantageous idea for white. So only now do we go to d6. And black is going to be playing for a quick e5 break in this position. So say for instance after bishop g2 and knight bd7, we get all of our pieces ready. White stops the break, but we have the bishop pair, which we know from previous videos that that's a solid advantage. And in this position, black equalizes relatively quickly and gets solid play. This looks scary, but the nature of this position is white cannot get to black's king very easily, and in fact he blundered the game in this position, as if queen takes, rook takes check, and he can't really defend by moving the rook because of discovered attacks on the king, namely rook c4 winning. So probably you asked, well, after bishop d6, what's wrong with c5? This is a miserable positional move. Now, when we get to play e5 later, this pawn's going to be so weak. This is never a move that we're very concerned with. You could handle this position in the same vein as the bishop f4 main line, playing c6, b6, and bishop a6 at some point, and then eventually playing e5. There are multiple ways to play it, but that would be one solid way. So after bishop d6, we'll look at the main game that actually happened between Boris Gelfand and Ding Liren with knight c3. He castles, and you keep seeing this over and over. They trade the bishop because white has to move that bishop at some point, otherwise he just gets a worse position. And I felt like this game was very patiently played by Ding Liren because he's just biding his time to get his bishops to effectively use the position. And I mean, see how he's just like doing nothing over and over and over slowly. Trades a set of knights off. Now he just has the pure bishop pair. And then he's slowly going to improve his position where he has the pawn majority. Now he's won a couple pawns. White has an attack that only lasts momentarily. Gets the queen out of there. Tries to create the unopposed pawn on the queen side. He has this unopposed pawn, the threat of taking on f2. And then finally, after much maneuvering, he has the one game with the two extra pawns, and Gelfand resigns. Hopefully, we've seen multiple concepts in these Queen's Gambit videos of what to do in endgames, proper trades to make, proper structure ideas. This video series will serve you well in playing your Queen's Gambit repertoire.